welcome back to my channel. Today is story time, and instead of alcohol, I'm out here sipping on some green tea and apple cider vinegar because the girl gained some weight, child. I don't know where it came from. Like, I lost it and then it found me back. So now we're trying to do some damage control or whatever. But today is story time, and I actually haven't done a story time in a little bit because I was posed with a very interesting question from someone. They asked me whether or not I feel bad telling stories about people. And I really had to sit down and think about it to come to the conclusion that no, I don't, because I truly believe that everyone owns the story of their life, of things that happen to them. My version of events will not be validated by you. How you made me feel will not be validated by you. That's my truth. And you probably out here in the streets talking your truth anyways. I mean, I'll take it with a grain of salt because a lot of people lie. But they could probably say the same thing about me. So to each his own, and on with the story time. So I was with this guy. We'd been together for a little while, and everything was going all right, but not really. Like, on the outside it looked all right, but on the inside it wasn't. Because I feel like the narrative that's not spoken about is the one of women who get cheated on and then they stay with their partner. To me, that's probably why a lot of people who find themselves in that situation don't tell their friends about it, because they feel like the judgment is wild. You know, Sally, Betty, and Sue will all be telling you, if that was me, I would have done this, I would have done that. And then when they find themselves in that situation, they stay. And then they can't say anything because they were busy if I was men. And now we've got a culture of women who get cheated on, stay, don't feel like they have anyone to talk to about their relationship issues anymore because, they ain't gonna listen to me anyways. I mean, I know we all have that friend who's always like, I'm gonna leave him, and then they never do. But then I'm here to talk about that friend in terms of, don't invalidate what she says or how she feels just because you think, okay, she's beyond help and she needs to help herself. Because a lot of people will also be crying out for help. So PSA over, let's get into the story time. I was with this guy and we'd been dating for a while. The relationship was mediocre at best. So he had cheated on me before and I stayed with him. I mean, now when I look back, because I know that it really doesn't need to be that deep, okay? You can find a good man and you don't need to be out here trying to panel beat niggas into being a certain person when they're just not made for it. But in any case, I had stayed and we were working on the relationship. So there comes this day when me and the guy that I was dating, let's call him Jermaine. So me and Jermaine go out, and then my girlfriend, More Blessing, ooh, guys, you gotta hear a lot of story times with More Blessing because that's my ride or die, y'all. And it just so happens she was there for all the shenanigans, well, most of the shenanigans that happened in my life. So if you ever need validation as to whether or not my stories are true, ask More Blessing. Ask More Blessing. She knows. She was there. She saw it with her own eyes. Okay. So More Blessing, Jermaine, and I, we go to the club. We are hype, guys. We are lit. It's about to go down. We're gonna ta-da-da-da and pop, lock, and drop it all the way to heaven and back. The club vibe was in us. So we go to the club. We're dancing by the door of the club because it was actually pretty packed. Hello, lit. And we're dancing by the club of the door, and then all of a sudden, this group of girls walks into the club. Whatever, girls walk into the club all the time. But then one of the girls says hi to Jermaine, and then Jermaine is like, hey, nothing really happened, but I wish I could explain this intuition to people. When you just know, Jay, something is wrong, something ain't right, it's fishy. So when Jermaine said hi to this girl, what would we call her? Myrtle. Oh, okay, Myrtle is not a nice name. That is not a good one. We'll call her, gosh, suddenly I don't know any names in life. Okay, we'll just call her Susan. So Susan walks into the door. Jermaine says hi. It's not really anything to write home about, but I just felt suspicious. In any case, Mo Blessing and I continue with our thing, you know. Ooh, girl, it's your birthday, you know. Like we are killing it. At some point in that night, like I think about an hour after they had come into the club, Susan leaves the club. She walks out the door. Of course, I saw it because after I had already sensed that something wasn't right, you know, when you're in the club and you're just like you keep looking at someone just expecting something to just like be off, you know, so you can pop off. So that's what I was really expecting. So I knew where she was. I was tracking her movements. Girls, don't act like you don't do it. Don't act like you don't track girls in the club, especially when you know they had a thing with your man or want a thing with your man, or you're just mad or jealous or something, because we all do it. So in any case, the whole time I'm dancing, looking to my side like, okay, she's in the bathroom. Okay. And then when she walks out, I notice. But then I'm like, okay, cool. Well, she's gone anyways. Let's continue. And then it's just me and Mo Blessing at this point because we had gone to the bar to get some shots. Then when I turn around looking for this here Jermaine, did he not also walk out of the club behind this girl? I'm like, oh, you done fucked up now. Ha! Where you going? Why you out here following the girl out of the club? So I'm like, Mo Blessing, we are going. We need to go see what is happening here. So Mo Blessing and I are like, yes, let's go outside the club. We're going to follow them and see what's going to happen. We're out here trying to be discreet. We're like hiding behind cars because it's dark. And it was like they were going in the parking lot into the wilderness. Okay. And we see them going in that direction. So we trying to hide behind the parked cars on some, okay, go. Okay, you go. Child, when I think about it, you know, it was crazy, but it happened. Anyways, so they're walking into the wilderness there, and just before, like just when they get out of sight because it's so dark, I, in my impulsiveness, Lord, help me have composure, okay? I see what you've done for others. I, in my impulsiveness, jump out from behind the car and I'm like, what are you doing with my boyfriend? Susan walks out of the darkness and she just puts her hands up and she's like, I don't want to be involved, and walks straight past me. I'm like, the audacity. At that point, the story gets wild. Hold on, wait a minute. Y'all thought I was finished. I'm busy in his face on some, where were you going? What were you doing? You busy going into the dark, following girls outside the club, what? And I'm doing all of this, child. All of this was coming his way. And to my surprise, this guy, he grabs me by my shoulders and he pins me against the fence, because there was a fence like between the club and the highway. He pins me against the fence and he's like shaking me and like hitting my head against the fence. And he's going, Tash, you always do this? Why do you have to make a scene? We were just talking. And I was like, you know when you just like deer in the headlights, I'm like, and Mo Blessing is also the same way. Then at some point he goes, get your things, we're going home. No, he didn't even say get your things, because that's what I was bitter about. He just said, get in the car, we're going home. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, I left my limited edition Zara blazer in the club. I heard South African Slay Queen steal. Like, what the don't quote me on that. I said. So I'm just like, shit. But I was too scared, so I just went in the car and left the blazer anyways. Left Mo Blessing too, because, hey, it was heated. Like, I was just shook. So I get into the car, and then whilst we're driving, it dawns on me that this guy just pinned me on the fence when he's the one that was walking outside with this chick. So I start again. I'm like, but where were you going, Jermaine? What were you thinking? What were you gonna do there? What? And like my hands are all in his face, and I'm like busy poking him, because at that point I've got my cojones back, right? Whilst I'm doing all of this, he stops the car in the middle of the street, and out of nowhere his hand just came like right here. So he was in the seat there driving, and then he reached his hand over and was like, And then he started like, like, Tash, why do you have to do this, and that? And like, he's shaking my head down so that I can't move. And then like, he's got his hands like by my throat. And I'm just like, yo, Jesus, I better shut the fuck up. You know, like, don't do too much now. Unfortunately, I wasn't even going home that day. I couldn't go home. That's another story time for another day. But I couldn't go home, and I was going to sleep over at his place. When we got there, I got out of the car, went to the bathroom, and started weeping. Child, like, I was just crying, like African movie style, like okay, not that deep, but the tears were real and it was flooded because I couldn't believe the sequence of events, how the night had happened. Like, we had gone to the club, wanting to turn up, and then he was following a girl outside. I confront him about it, and then I'm the one out here being thrown against the fence and having my neck all choked up. Woke up in the morning and I had like bruises all on my neck and I had bruises all on my shoulders. And is this not the same guy who now wants to be on some, can I make you coffee? Can I make you a drink? I think we should go to the pharmacy so you can get a topical cream for your bruises. Excuse me, sir. You're the ones that put these bruises on my body. And like, I know I'm saying it as if it's a light story, but it was actually difficult for me to say that story for a long time. And I didn't tell people about it, which goes back to what I was talking about before, because like of the embarrassment of having stayed with somebody who has done you wrong before and feeling like you can't tell people anymore. And I feel like that's part of a contributing factor to when people get abused in their relationships. I'm not necessarily saying I was abused, but then he did act in a physically violent manner to me. Maybe I was, maybe I wasn't, you know. And fast forward to like, should we say a year later? Yeah. Because did he not get Susan pregnant? And I think my only message with that story is that even if someone has been in a toxic relationship for a long time, or they've accepted certain things from their person, I think it's really important to continue to present an environment where they feel like they can share what's happening in their lives, because there are a lot of people out there suffering through a lot of violence, through like a lot of physical, emotional, financial abuse, and they feel like they can't tell anyone about it because people won't take them seriously or they'll judge them. I mean, I don't consider myself the prototype for someone who gets shit done to and stays, you know? Like, when people look at me, even with this YouTube thing, a lot of people will be like, oh, you're so confident, you know, like, I love your personality, you're so bubbly. I can't imagine you like having a low moment. And little do they know, I've had a lot of low moments behind closed doors, particularly for that reason, because I felt like a lot of people wouldn't understand that how can Tash be sad, or how can Tash be going through a span, or how can Tash be depressed, you know? And it does come at a disservice to me, and I'm sure for a lot of people out there. But yeah, that is my story. In the comments below, please let me know, one, if you'd like me to continue doing story times, especially when it's not about things that are banned, because not everything is always going to be funny. And two, what is the worst relationship situation you found yourself in? Like, I'm really interested to know. And also, I think it helps to like see stories from other people, and then it makes it easier for me to share my stories, because then like I be out here on this camera just like, oh, they're gonna think I'm really crazy now. Like, they thought I was crazy before.